This will be a discussion of the last topic in the course, some data validation that will involve a nested if under a complex do while. I'm going to use the program example that we used in a previous semester, and that was an application for a children's museum where it asked the child to enter their birth date and then figured out how many years, months, and days of their life they had slept. It's approximately a third of their life. Let's run it and see what the program does. So I pick some child's name. And Brian's slept 27,000 hours. He's, as you can see, not quite 10 years old. So 3 years, 2 months, and 5 days. Well, let's just take a look at some of the code. Not a lot, because that's not what we're after in this lecture. But it resembles what you've done. We convert the 3 parts of the date, just like you have in your math programs. The book specified an algorithm where you subtracted the birth year from today's year and the month from today's month. And yes, you could end up with some negative months, but I didn't believe it myself until I worked it out by hand, and it's highly accurate. The thing that's a little bizarre is that they have a 360-day year. Oh well, sometimes banks do that, so why not a children's museum where precision is not that important? And then to figure out how many years, months, and days 27,000 hours breaks down into, we have a sequence of integer division and mod, very much like other things. But let's go back and think about what the things are that a child could enter incorrectly. They could enter a month that's way too big, a day that's way too big, a year that's way in the future, and then they come up with negative results. They could enter a letter. We would like to catch these errors and make them come up with something that's reasonable, and that is going to be the purpose of your final program, a validation program. In this lecture, we're only going to discuss errors for the year. This resembles quite a bit what you will be doing in your own program. Okay, what are the possible errors? Well, first of all, that they don't even enter a number. Second of all, for the year, that they put in a decimal point after it, 2000.5. Or my favorite is 1999.9. That they have a number that's after this year, 2011, and that they have a number that's just way too small. We have to have some arbitrary or thought out cutoff day at the low end. I was fake sad because several of my students in the previous semester cut my birth date off out of there. Let's take a look at how we might develop this concept in visual logic. The first one that I started out was with year having a decimal position, and the way you check for that is to say if the year they entered isn't the same as the integer of that year, then we know they entered a decimal position. So we have this do while up here. We're going to increase it bit by bit. Within that, we will have a compound nested if because we need to find the specific error. Let me go through and run this. Enter year you were born, 1999.9. Enter. Year must be a whole number. Retry. 2000. And so it takes it. Let's stop right here for a couple of reasons. I want to see if the software captured that sequence correctly and to get set up for the next piece.